everybody, my name is Disco, and I read books. Sometimes I don't even read books, I just buy books and then say what my thoughts might be about them, because that is what my AI viewers like to watch. I was at the University of Sydney Book Fair recently. It's actually a pretty good setup that they have. I think it's books that they get together from old courses, but they have a lot. They have a lot on selection, and I bought a lot. I spent about $35 on books. What's that in pounds? Like 2? And I thought I'd just go over and say what we've got. I'll make a nice little thumbnail of me holding the book so that it's clickbait. Alright, let's just go through them. I'll just rapid fire through them and tell you what I think of them. Alright, here we go. The first one we've got here is, I don't know what this is. The Dream of the Red Chamber. It's a small little thing here. I don't know what it is. One, done. The next book I bought was Anita Bruckner's Hotel du Lac. I don't know much about it. All I know is it won the Booker and it's short, so I'll read that at some point. The next thing I bought is something that's going to take me a while. It is the collected short stories of Patrick White. I think this was like $2. Pretty top quality stuff. So yeah, it's a major collection of his 3 short story collections plus some others, I think. I've tried to read his long-form stuff, like Voss and Riders in the Chariot, or whatever it's called, and I haven't been able to get into them because I find them really formal and really stuffy. So hopefully short stories don't give me that impression. I get the feeling they won't, so I really want to start this at some point. The next thing I bought was Barry Unsworth's Sacred Hunger, another Booker winner, and one that seems to have a lot of praise. It seems to be considered one of the really underrated ones. It's quite long, but it's got an interesting premise. And I like just a really good, solid historical novel. That's why not. I then bought 2 books by a sort of Nobel contender, I think, for Australia, which is David Malouf. I bought Jono and The Great World. I have read about half of this previously, and I enjoyed what I read of it, but I put it down and never came back to it, and now I have my own copy, so hopefully I'm going to be able to read that. And this, I have no idea what this is. But he is an author that people generally consider could get the Nobel for whatever reason more than Peter Carey. I think it's because he's quite consistent in his viewpoints and his topics, whereas Peter Carey, from what I know, is more expansive. David Malouf seems to be focused on Brisbane and Brisbane life, which is not a place that I give a fuck about, but we'll see. David Malouf books. By the way, don't bother telling me in the comments that I've mispronounced an author's name. If you tell me that, then I will actively go out of my way to continue to mispronounce that author's name. That author will live if I mispronounce their name, and the only reason you're saying that in the comments is to let me know that you know something that I don't. The next book I bought was Milkman by Anna Burns, another Booker Prize winner. Again, they just have them on the table. If it's $2 and it's a Booker winner, I'm just gonna grab it. I don't care. This is a friend of mine's favorite book, which I think is interesting. I don't know much about it, but let's go. I then bought the first 2 of the 3 parts of Janet Frame's autobiography, which is sort of broadly called An Angel at My Table. Janet Frame, if you're a New Zealand author, Australia kind of adopts you as being an author that's revered in our country. They're in the Southern Hemisphere, which means they belong to us kind of thing. So Janet Frame is someone who you will see in every bookstore in Australia, and I'm curious to read this. I've heard a lot about it. To the Island and An Angel at My Table. I think the first part's about her childhood, her second part's about all the sad stuff. So, we'll see. The next book I bought is something that my dad's already halfway through, I think, which is Swallow the Air by Tara June Winch. She is a Miles Franklin winner. I've read some of this, and I really enjoyed what I read of it, and now I've got a nice small hardback of it. Yeah, I think this is her first novel. She wrote it when she was quite young. She's an Indigenous author, I believe. And yeah, it looks like something I could get behind. She was, yeah, whatever, Swallow the Air. I do need to read more Australian literature that's more word of mouth than award-winning, and this seems to be an example of that. I keep ending up reading books that are European or from those filthy Americans, so I need to read more Australian literature, and I'm going to try and focus on that in the final quarter of the year. The next book I bought is the first one that I'm going to read, which is Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit by Jeanette Winterson. I have a certain image of this book in my head that other people have given me. Maybe they've sort of characterized this book incorrectly, but I've heard it's a certain way, and I want to read it to see if it's like that, if it's just horny. There was a line of Miles Franklin book winners at the book fair, and I decided I was only going to buy one, because I'm not going to read them all, and I was running low on money, so I bought Black Rock, White City. That is a real tongue twister if you try to say that fast. I've heard really good things about this book, and I think this is the last man to win the prize in like 2014. I really like the premise of this one. I'll probably read it soon. We'll see what I think. The next book I bought was from ya boy, Carol Shields. This is Unless. There were about 15 copies of this book in a row, and there were about 7 of the Stone Diaries, and I heard someone next to me say, who the fuck is Carol Shields, while they were looking through. She's a legend is what she is. I'm excited to read this. Very excited to read this. She's pretty untouchable in certain things. Then I bought a book I found out my family already owns, so it was a waste, but it just means I'm going to destroy this copy, which was True History of the Kelly Gang. I'm more inclined to read this than Oscar and Lucinda, and I do need to read this. I like that it's all based off the Geraldry letter. That's a weird premise for a book, and the language looks very odd, so yeah, cool, we'll read. And the last thing I bought was easily the best deal out of everything. I think it was $3 for this. It is Kristin Lavransdatter by Sigrid Undset. This is the entire thing. It's about 1,000 pages of a Nobel Prize winner. I think it's the history of this woman set in, like, Scandinavia or somewhere. It's just a history of, like, I think country life from the perspective of this woman, and it's very long and apparently very good. It's the beautiful Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition, and it had, like, a slight problem with the binding, so they dropped it from, like, $15 to $3 or something. I'll probably read this when I'm in my 60s, but, you know, it's nice to think ahead. And that's everything that I bought at the University of Sydney Book Fair. It's a really, really great thing. If you're in Sydney, you should absolutely go to it. It stands tall above a lot of other sort of book fairs that we have in our city. So yeah, that's my books. I'll read some of them and they'll appear on a wrap-up at some point. I just thought I'd try making a video like this because people seem to like them. And yes, so this is all my books. Very good. Let me know if this is a type of video idea I should keep doing or if I'm just pandering to the algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!